they hope to publish one day for the world to enjoy. So The Living Doll is their debut novel, and it's the first installment in a long series of magical tales. So in addition to working on the book, Aster also enjoys cosplaying and bringing their stories to the ears and the eyes of people all around the world. So please give a very warm Sag Harbor welcome now to Aster Vaughn.
Hello.
Hi.
So yes, I am Aster Vaughn, and Briarthorn Uni, which I don't have a copy of. Yeah. So this is my debut novel. I am self-published, and I did that in November of last year, and started like really pushing it out into the world in December, and here we are now. Like, this is pretty crazy. But yeah, so the book started as a cosplaying tag on TikTok. I'm sure some of you have heard of that app. That is hidden in the not the mountains, the cliffs of California. It's more on the western side. So I don't remember the name of the actual, because this was all like the actual finding of where it is happened after we started playing for a couple of years. So there's some national park, I don't remember the name of it, but that's where the real Briarthorn would be located. And yeah, so everybody's character is some sort of magical being. No, there's no what was the word that we used? Mundane humans that attend the school. If you are a human at the school, you have to have some sort of magical touch to you. So you're either a witch, or you're descended from like some werewolf family or something like that. But yeah, so everybody brought their fantasy characters in. It's a safe space for magical beings, people that were othered by human society in there. And then of course, just with anything that has to do with magic, there's going to be conflicts. With this particular book, the conflict is a bunch of demons being released through a portal onto the school, and nobody's really prepared for that. Like, they're prepared for one or two conflict demons, but not all of them at once. So, of my main characters, Lavendula is the main character. She is an undead human, so she's allowed to be on campus because she's undead, and she does not have access to magic at all. So she's kind of one of those like in between the lines of this already in between the lines world. Other students and staff, well, not the staff, but the other students there don't really trust her, because when you're created through necromancy, you don't really have a mind of your own, even though she very much does have a mind of her own, because you find out the person who resurrected her, where are they? They're not really there. Another character is Kian. He is a werewolf that was kind of just plucked out of a really bad situation and dropped into Briarthorn to, I don't even really know why he was brought there. He was won in a bet in a poker game. So the guy who won him, the president of the campus, was like, why are you, why is this person even offered in this game? So I will take him and give him a better lease on life. And the president of the campus is named Ralph. He is a vampire. And he has a lot of secrets of his own that get revealed as the story goes on. A human girl that doesn't really fit in most places, but Ralph was fun to write because he's very confident and very like, I don't know, he got along with everybody, but he was also like playing everybody at the same time. So, but yeah. How far into the book is this? Is this like too close to the end? Alright. Okay, so this is a Ralph chapter, a little further than halfway through the book. They're at a staff meeting. Laughter trickled in and out of each corner of the room. Staff meetings this late in the year were often rife with jokes, joyful banter, and general distractions from the lifeblood of this campus. Briarthorn's professors were hand-picked to teach here, which meant many of them had connections to each other as former schoolmates. Some had relationships prior to their role at the school, others only bonded since working here. Histories between staff were both good and bad, rarely neutral. Although there were countless realms and endless species of fantastical beings, ultimately, academia was a small world. They'd each know the other well enough very soon. Extended lifespans meant that at times, some staff members were younger than the students they taught. Sometimes age or prior employment played no role whatsoever in how well a professor captivated their subject. Ralph made it a point to keep a relatively strict code of conduct, although he broke his own rules all the time. Most of the faces in this room were hired by him, though that meant little in terms of loyalty. Plenty of staff members had hinted or suggested that they'd make better presidents. They were probably right, but Ralph could not give up his position. Not yet. The staff members' lounge was filled today to the brim with every professor, assistant, office secretary, and on-call substitute Briarthorn had on paper, with only a handful of absences. This would be the final staff meeting of the semester, as classes came to an end during the first week of May. After that, and while the president was on good terms with each face in the room, he still had to draw the line somewhere between friend and coworker. Vulpus was one of the exceptions to this, though he kept their affair a secret for as long as he could. The man was hired, after all, to teach demonology, a subject his mentor had previously taught. When necromancy as a practice was banned from campus, Ralph's mentor attempted to bring demonology as a study to the school instead. Unfortunately, he was then imprisoned shortly after, causing the new department to crumble. What to focus on was writing adult characters and adult people doing stuff, because I'm kind of tired of although I love young adult fantasy, I am tired of the chosen one being somebody who's a teenager. As a 33-year-old, I'm tired of reading about children going through trauma in order to become better people.
Yeah.
Adults have lives too. Our lives don't stop when we get married. Our lives don't stop when we have kids. Our lives just don't stop when we turn 21. So
Good point.
having
Really?
a whole world with people that are angels don't mature until about 100 in this world. Same thing with elves. They don't become adults until they're in their hundreds. But then there's werewolves who have a more human lifespan. So that can be a little bit more relatable. But even the werewolf characters, a lot of the main characters are going to be way over 18. And whether that's because they've been on this earth for more than 18 years, or because they are just more mature when you compare it to their species lifespan.
Right.
But yeah, all of the characters are adults, and you won't have a lot of children getting harmed in my world.
Good.
So
That sounds great.
So maybe there's some questions?
okay.
So where do you fall into the characters? I mean, which character are you, and can you tell me more about you?
But since Ralph was technically the first character that I created for TikTok, but for this world specifically, Lavandula was the first character I made. So I guess she would be the one that is most like me, but at the same time, I don't even want to say that because I know where her story goes, and I don't there's a very clear divergence where I wouldn't make the decisions that she did. But she definitely has my I don't know, the innocence that I had at one point, looking at the world and just thinking that if I did my best, I would be praised or thanked or appreciated, kind of thing. And she has no control over how she was made or why she's there. She's not allowed to leave. She can't die. So she's just stuck. And then she doesn't know a lot of this about herself. She discovers it as the book goes on. But yeah, it's a lot of self-discovery things. And then with Kian, it's opposite of that. He's very confident, very just like your grungy werewolf man archetype that has a lot up to hide. Like, he doesn't want you to see a lot about himself, but that gets uncovered as the story goes on too. Similar to Ralph as well. He has a very deep past, but yeah, we don't get as deep into Kian or Ralph's backstory. Kian's story is more focused on in book 2, which will probably be coming out this December, if everything goes according to plan.
That was my question.
Yeah.
You just answered it.
So if I can stick to my own schedule, every like sequel will come out each following year, because the
Good
story's
for
like
you.
pretty much already
Wow.
written. I just need to write it into book form and then have it edited and all that. But I designed all the covers and stuff. So
This is wonderful.
Writing process, how you keep them all in your head, you know,
boy.
and then maybe a little bit about your writing process.
Okay. So the characters that I've created specifically for this world, there is definitely over 30, maybe over 50 by now, that are like, you know, there's the main cast, and then there's the characters that are connected to the main cast that are not part of the main cast, and then there's the extra side character fillers and all that other stuff. But like the Siku character and Logan, those are inspired by characters that my friends have made, so I just kind of have them cataloged in my brain somewhere as like, what does this person sound like? How are they going to interact in this space? And I just remember how that person played them, and I'm like, okay, it's a little less work for me to like develop that. They've already been developed, so I just need to make sure that I'm doing them justice when I pop them in the book. As for the writing process, it's very chaotic when I'm actually writing new stuff, but I use this program, Dabble. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's a writing program that really lays things out nicely. So you have your like chapter section and then your plot section, and you have little note cards that you can like add, like this is the Dr. Nocte note card, and so I just put everything about her and I can reference it pretty easily.
Dabble, is it?
Dabble, yeah. But then my friend Anna uses Scrivener, which I haven't tested out, but she loves that one. So
Okay.
that's another good. Dabble costs $20 a month, which is annoying, but I'm invested, so I'm already in there.
Oh, yeah, right.
And yeah, so that made a lot of things easier because
Process and project you're on, and with
Oh, I haven't read
so much industry
just
behind it and energy, it's really great. I'm just wondering, do you have any favorite authors in the fantasy or magical novelist world that were sort of models for you, or that inspired you when you were younger or first thinking about writing?
I think her name is Lai de Engels. She wrote A Wrinkle in Time.
Madeline
That-
L'Engle?
Yeah.
That
Madeline L'Engle.
book
Yes, I
really
love
like
that book.
stuck with me.
Okay.
I read it probably too young to like really understand what was going on, because I was definitely one of those like advanced reading kids. But I need to reread it. But that, and then The Neverending Story is my favorite movie of all time. So that one definitely has an influence on my writing.
That's
And that's a really dark movie.
I saw that a long time ago and I still think of it. It's really well done.
If it's on, I'm watching it.
Yeah.
It's so well done. It really was, yeah.
But yeah, so stories like that where it's, I guess, similar to, I don't know, I don't really want to call it a hero's journey because I don't really agree that it's that. And also a lot of hero journey stories are written by men, about men, and this is also a book that centers a lot of queer characters, a lot of physically diverse characters, disabled characters. Obviously in literature, monsters and fantasy beings are usually symbolic of the others in society. So that in and of itself, like I definitely focus a lot on like monster versus person type, like how the perspective can change based on who's telling the story or who's living the story. So those are two things that come to mind.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I have one follow-up question, if I'm allowed. I'm sorry. Are you interested in making any sort of commentary on contemporary, college campus culture, or not necessarily your interest?
I didn't graduate college. I went for a couple years, and then a lot of stuff happened at home that made it difficult for me to stick it out and graduate, so I never graduated. So that might be part of the why the fantasy setting of a college was so interesting. As far as current college stuff, I love that students are rarely afraid to go up against their, I don't even know, the administration, that they will put their bodies and their education and everything else on the line in order to be heard, seen. Disruption definitely has a place when you're trying to be heard and seen. And yeah, I definitely pretty much always support students over the people in power. So.
Thank you.
And shit, and I'm just like,
We just love you.
You taught me how to read.
I know.
And now you're writing books. Yeah.
That is